In today's video, we're going to talk about mulching beds, and what you're looking at right here is the before picture. The mulch is old, dried out, and tired and needs to be replaced. And here is the finished result. But the difference of this video isn't just to look at the final product, it's to show you how to do it faster, easier, and with a lot less effort. So if you've never mulched before or you think you're a pro, watch my method and I think it'll give you some great ideas. Here we've got 10 yards of pine bark mulch. This is very typical in New England, and it might vary across the country, but this is what we use. Now that we want to get the mulch put down, we got to figure out what we're going to need for tools. Now the good thing about mulch is it isn't really a hard job to do, but the point of this video isn't just to spread mulch, it's to show you a way to do it that's easier and faster than other methods. And I've got 10 yards of mulch here to spread. Now I've done as much as maybe even about 18 yards, and you can do that on your own. I always have, and with some basic tools it can make all the difference. So the first thing you need is some type of a wheelbarrow. This is just a collapsible cart that I've shown in some other videos. Next thing you're going to want is some type of a rake. Now the only reason you're going to use a rake is after you get the mulch down, this is going to help you spread it out. This is a great rake that I use. You can use the back side of this rake, or if you have a regular rake, you can use that. The next tools, which are going to be the most common to put your mulch down, like a pitchfork or a shovel. Now what I found over the years by using tools like this is they're just not the right tool for the job, because this seems like a great tool. You can plunge it into the mulch and it will allow you to pick some up. But the problem is, if you look at how much I have here, that's not very much. The other issue is if the mulch gets dry, it's going to go between these tines. But a tool that you're going to see in action, and it makes this job a lot easier, is this. And if you've never seen one of these really came from the farming industries because they were used to put and pick up hay. Because hay's a funny thing, it's got a lot of little shoots to it and they fall through, so by making these tines a lot tighter like this, you can pick up hay a lot easier, but it works great for mulch. And when I drive this type of rake into mulch, I get a much larger amount. This rake is lighter than one of these. So every time I pick it up, this is a little bit easier on me. And if you notice too, the length of the handle is very different. Back on a farm, when they're doing hay, they really tend to work further away. Now you may not work a full extension with this, but when you're picking up mulch, it's nice to have a little bit more to balance. So I keep one hand back here and one hand up the front. And this single thing really makes a big difference spreading mulch, because it gives you more leverage. I'm able to kind of leverage it with the back of the rake, and then I can throw it, and because of these tight tines, the mulch doesn't fall through. You don't have to use one of these, but if you're going to put down 10 yards, 15, 20 yards of mulch, you want every throw to be the most efficient and really the easiest on you. And the minute you try one of these, you will be sold. So when you're doing this for a long time, you're going to want to put on some gloves and just protect your hands. Want to, if you can get your delivery to a location in your lot, that's going to make the most sense. But sometimes that doesn't always work out, and I have a lot of other beds other than these, so these are just the most convenient ones. So at the beginning, I'm just going to use the rake, and I don't need to use the wheelbarrow because I don't need to get it around. And when you look at a bed like this, it's full of daylilies. Now they're not flowered up yet. This can be kind of tricky, because if you take this and you just dump it on them, you're going to end up wiping these flowers out and you're going to crush them. So what I try to do is, depending on the bed, I'm going to kind of throw it to scatter it in. And this thing makes all the difference, because all that amount of weight that's not on this rake allows me to take a scoop. I can just plunge it really easily with no effort. And that's very different on a shovel. You really have to take a lot of force to get it in. And what I'm going to do is try to do a low throw like this. Now you don't want to put too much when you're doing this, because again, I've got live plants here already, and you can see I've already started to collapse a couple a little bit. So some of those you may have to do by hand. So when you're doing an existing bed with delicate plants, you want to take lighter amounts and really try to throw it in the air if you can, And this is just putting a light coating down, which is not what you're always going to do. But for a bed with existing plants, you have to. And what really, again, makes the difference is I'm using this almost like a catapult to throw it. But I can't go to this bed and just hand put down every bit of mulch and go around the plants. So in really a short amount of time, I can do this whole bed. Now this method works really well for existing beds that already have some mulch in them. If you're doing a new bed that has no mulch, this takes a while and you might want to bring the wheelbarrow and dump it right in a position. The other thing that's really helpful with this is you don't use a ton of mulch. Now everybody's going to tell you want, I think it's 3 to 5 inches of mulch, but the thing is it costs a lot of money and I can't put down 5 inches of mulch every year. So what I'm looking to do is add a thinner coat each year, build up the mulch over time. Initially I put a little bit more in there to start, but when this is done I'm looking for a finish and to protect the plants, and this method works. I pretty much reached all the places that I can, so I'm going to put the mulch in the wheelbarrow. Now I'll wheel this over. And you put mulch down in your yard for 2 reasons. One, it helps control weeds, but it's also good for the plants because it keeps the plants' roots warm and keeps the soil temperatures up underneath, which is good. Now you do want to be careful to not get mulch on your grass, because on your driveway you can blow that mulch right in the bed. If you get mulch on your grass, it's going to kill it if you leave it. I mean, a piece or two is not a problem, but you don't want to dump it on that grass. And as you get more skilled throwing the mulch like this, you can really get it around your plants without even touching your rake. So this saves me time when I'm done because I may not have to go in and spread it out even further. You can use this rake too to spread it out a little. Remember, the existing beds like the daylily beds, they're the worst beds to do because it's pretty tough to do mulch before they start growing. They just start really early. So this throwing method works really well when you have a complicated bed. Now you can squat down and do it by hand. That just takes a lot longer. So I'm already finished with that bed for the most part. Now I'm moving on to this bed. And as you can see in here, I have specific large plants or like a specimen bed where these have nothing between. So there's no reason to take a lot of time or energy to throw the material. In this case, you want to do a traditional method, which you're going to make small dumpings and then you'll spread it out with the rake. It's pretty easy to do. I don't know how well it comes through in the video, but I do have a lot of weeds in these beds still. And we've had a ton of rain so far this year. When this is finished, unfortunately, I can't weed them all, so I'm going to have to let the weeds grow a bit, and then I'll go back and I'll probably use tenacity to try to wipe them out. You know, this looks like a big mess, and you could just use a push broom on this, but I'm going to show you a quicker way to get this done anytime that you're on a sidewalk or any sort of hard surface. And I may need to add a little bit more mulch there, but I think we'll just try to rake it in and see how we do. So hopefully this gives you a couple of different ways that you can put mulch down. When you have beds like these daylilies behind me, you can use that throwing method that really lets you get it done quickly and you don't really damage the plants. The other method is when you've got these grass plants on the side of me, which are kind of like a specimen bed, you can do the traditional method where you just dump out the mulch and then rake it in to get it flat. But all in all, I'm happy with the result. It only took about 45 minutes, and I'm not super tired from it either. And I think that mulch rake or mulch fork, whatever you want to call it, really makes a big difference in the job and how much effort you have to put into it. But I do still have a lot to do. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. If you've got great ideas on how to spread it easier or even just a better approach, please put it in the comment below. And I want to thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you.